Welcome to Farm Charm Chic. I'm Emily. In today's episode, I have 5 beautiful ornament ideas for you. They each cost less than $5. In fact, they're all pretty cheap, but they look high-end. You're going to love all of these. If you like crafting, DIYs, dupes, hacks, thrift flips, or just creating in general, I would love if you would consider subscribing. If you like any of today's projects, remember to hit that thumbs up. But let's go make some ornaments. I'm going to take some of these tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree and we're going to make some cute little snowman ornaments out of them. So I'm making 3, so you need 6 blocks for each one that you make. So I took 18 blocks and I'm going to paint 12 of them black. So I'm going to use these for the cute little snowman's hat. So I just paint them all over, and then the remaining the remaining 6, I just paint white. Now I love to distress things, so this is totally optional, but you just go ahead, and I wanted these to look pretty vintage and aged. So I just go around each of the edges. This took a little bit of time to get all of these edges because these are so small, but it actually ends up looking really, really cute. So I do the same thing to both the black and the white. Now to make the snowman's face, I'm just putting some glue on the side of one of the white blocks and gluing it to another. And I just repeat this process through both, like all 3 snowmen here. I love to do things in 3s and ornaments that are easy like this. I have 3 kids, and so I feel like if they were ever to divide these up, or if I wanted to tie them to a gift, they would each get one. So now I just glue all of the black blocks the same way, so in pairs. So on the side to side, all in groups of 2. For the hanger, I'm just using some twine, and this took a little bit of trial and error. I tried to glue this between the 2 blocks, but it left a lot of bulkiness in between the 2 blocks, so I couldn't get a good seal. It didn't look clean or nice. So what I've decided to do is I'm not tying a knot in this at all. I just put a little glue, I let it dry so it's tacky, and it's like kind of just warm to the touch, and then I will just use my finger to kind of get a good seal on the end of that twine, so it makes it like a nice thin point. You can just see how to do that. Make sure, if you're at all sensitive to heat, either skip this step or do like the finger protectors or anything like that. But I do that to all 3, and then I'm just going to put a little glue on the back of one of the hats in the little crack that's there from where the 2 are glued together, and I'm going to place that down. Now, I was just going to go with this, and then I was like, that really doesn't look super clean. We can probably give it a little bit more protection and make it look a little bit nicer. So what I did is I got some craft sticks or popsicle sticks, and I just cut a couple little rectangle pieces off. You can see when you cut them, they go flying. And I thought, okay, this is going to fit over this perfectly. I just paint it black so it matches. You can distress it, you can do whatever, and then I just use that to glue onto the back to cover up where that you can see that twine. So it just kind of masks it a little, has a little more finished look, and then it's also there as an added layer of protection so it's not going to rip out. So now I'm just going to paint some cute little faces onto the snowman. So using the end of a paintbrush, I just dot a couple eyes, and you can get as creative as you want. Use a paint marker, you could use a Cricut, you could, if you're really good at painting, you could, I'm sure, make some darling little faces on these little snowmen, but I'm just using some dots because I feel like I can't mess those up too badly. So I just do 2 for the eyes, and then I do 5 for the mouth. And that first one, I didn't really do the dot right in the middle of the snowman, but on these other 2 I did, and I like how that looked. But you can just play around with it and do what looks best to you. For the carrot nose, I just took the remainder of that popsicle stick that I had used, or the craft stick, and I just did my best to kind of cut out some type of shape that resembled a carrot. So kind of like a longer triangle with rounded edges. So you can kind of see, or however, I did my best. Carrots come in all shapes and sizes. So I'm sure that, and if sometimes, actually, I was at the craft store the other day and I saw that you could buy a little bag of actual carrots, in the bead section, they're little beads. So those would work perfect too. But be creative. Use whatever you want. If you have a little star, cut the little points off of the star to use. I've done that before. But I painted them orange, and I put some little ridges on them with a pencil, and then I'm just gluing them on. Now you can have them overhang the edge if you want. You can see that there's a little short nose, there's a long nose. That just makes them so much fun. So now I'm going to glue the brim of the hat on. So I'm taking 2 more of those black blocks, the ones that do not have the hanging tag on them, and I'm gluing them flat, as you can see. And then I will take these other 2 and glue them upright to that. So that makes this cute little hat for this snowman. Now the fun part of this is that you get to embellish the hats or make them, I mean, you could leave them just like this. They're totally cute and fine like that. But I thought it was kind of fun to make each of them just a little bit different. And so some of them I put some ribbon around. So you can see the one up in the upper right. I did a little bit of that birch ribbon from Dollar Tree. This is the same ribbon I'm using in my Christmas tree this year, the stripe ribbon. So I thought I would tie this in with that. So I just wrap it around, and then on this one I decided to take another little piece of that ribbon and make a cute little scarf around him like he's staying warm. I mean, there's endless possibilities of things that you can do. Since he doesn't have much of like a neck to tie this around on, I'm just putting a couple glue dots on the little corners in the front to fold each piece of the ribbon over. And so that's going to help it stay. And then you can also put one in the middle of the ribbon to help it kind of stay closed. And then I cut a little fringe, and I'm just fraying it with my finger there. This is how I'm cutting the fringe here on both sides. And then I just take my finger and pull some of those threads away to make it look like it's got that cute little fringe on the end. So for the next one, or actually I'm still doing this one here. I just thought it would be, let's see, which one am I doing? I don't know. I do all sorts of things to each of them, but this one I'm just putting a little bit of the greenery and just cut a little end off of that. I think that came from Dollar Tree, that greenery. And I'm just going to glue that on with a couple of little berries. You could do some cute little bells. You could do, I mean, again, the possibilities are endless. So you can make these as fun as you want and some different things. So when I do berries, I like to do them in groups of 3, because I feel like that's kind of more of a natural thing that you see them in. So just keep that in mind. Don't overdo it with the berries. A little goes a long way with those. For this next one, I do a little bit of paint on one of these little wood snowflake stickers from Dollar Tree and just put some glitter on it to kind of give it a nice little shiny look. And then I glue that onto this little third snowman's hat. What I did do this one in the middle, I forgot that I did this, but because I left him kind of the way he was because he had a scarf, but I ended up taking some of the little jingle bells that I have. They're like rusted bells. I picked them up at JoAnns this year. It's like a garland, kind of comes like the pipberry does, but I decided to wrap those around, and it kind of just gives a little bit of like a textural element to him. So you can kind of see up close there, the little jingle bells that are sitting there. Kind of breaks it up a little bit and gives him something fancy. But look at how beautiful these are. I think they're so cute. They're going to be so fun hanging on my tree. And again, if I decide to tie them on a gift for one of my kids, I've got 3 of them. And it really didn't take much more time doing 3 of them than just one of them. What do you guys think of these little snowmen? Today's video is part of the 5 Under 5 DIY challenge. That means I have 5 projects, 5 ornament ideas that are $5 or less. And I also have a playlist link down in my description box for you, full of a bunch of different creators that also have 5 ornament ideas that are each $5 or less. I'm guest hosted this month by Aria from DIY with Aria. She is amazing and has the most beautiful DIYs. You guys are going to love her. I have a link to her channel down in my description box as well, so make sure you check her out as well as the playlist. Let's get right back into the DIYs. I love that gingerbread is kind of all the rage right now. It's so fun, and it's been popular for the last few years, and it doesn't show any sign of like losing popularity or anything. So I have this little paint palette. It came from Dollar Tree, and I have to admit, I was scrolling through Pinterest and I saw something similar to this. It was done with like laser cut pieces, and I thought this would be perfect to try this on. So I'm just sanding it down with my fingernail file here because I'm gonna put paint on it. I wanna do the best I can to get my paint to stick. If I had this to do over again, I might have spray painted the base coat on with just some of like the metallic spray paint. The hammered finish, I think, would have done a really good job giving a good texture to it. This worked fine. It just was a little time consuming because you have to thoroughly let that dry between each layer because you don't want it to flake off on the plastic. And so I just give it a couple good coats, and now I'm going to make this look as rusty as I can because I wanted this to look like give it really good aged look to it. So I start with a little bit of Merlot color. So it's like a dark maroon. And I kind of sparingly go over, you can kind of see, I'll dab my brush into it and then dab it off onto the paper towel. And then I kind of use that. You don't want a whole lot, but just enough to kind of get a little bit of color on there. And I just kind of go around in different areas, and this is just haphazardly. There's really no method to this. You just keep blending and doing this until everything looks good. So I'm taking some burnt umber and I put it right onto the little bit of Merlot that I was using, so it kind of blends in together now. And I will go over all of those spots kind of right next to or around or on top of where that Merlot color was to kind of help tone that redness, I guess redness would be the correct term. But I'm just kind of doing that, so it just kind of is giving this more of like an aged look. I want this to look like a little baking tin that's set out forever, like a little muffin tin that's set out for like years at the farm or something like that. So once I get all of the brown on there, and I will go back and use these colors back and forth through different layers. So I'm not technically done with each of them, but I'm moving on to the next step right now, which is to bring a little bit of orange. So it's just a pumpkin color, and you can see I dab it even into a little bit of the brown mixture that I have there, and I start going over. And this is where it really starts to kind of come to life, that you can kind of see like a little bit of rustiness. Now, I know a lot of you, every time I do a rust technique, say, oh, but you should try this or do this. There are so many different rust techniques out there. So if you know something that you like better or that works better, I mean, definitely do that. There's the method of doing like some Mod Podge or spray adhesive and then putting cinnamon all over. There's different techniques with spray paint that you can do. I mean, there's so many different, even just a little bit of like the burnt umber would be fine too. But as you can see, I'm just going all over with that orange. And then if I need to tone it down, I'll go back in with some of the brown over the top of it. And I don't even clean my brush off between the layers. Like that's how much you're just kind of mixing and blending all of these. So what really gives it a nice touch is a little bit of yellow, and just the littlest amount. Because if you look at actual rust, you can kind of see like that bright yellow, like little pieces of that in there. Not a lot, but just a little bit. It brightens up that orange and it gives it a much more authentic look. So I just keep going around until everything looks okay. But the last step that you need to do is take your silver and go back over the top of all of that, just very lightly tapping. And so it gives it kind of like that presence of that metallic, like the actual pan on top of like the rust is coming from up underneath. So hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing here. You just want it to look rusty and crusty, and I think it's great. So now I just put some Mod Podge on because I want to seal this really good because it is on that plastic. We did sand it, so it should stick all right, especially once it gets a good cure. But I definitely want to protect it with the Mod Podge. So I do front and back with this same method. This pack of ornaments or tags came from Dollar Tree, and they have these adorable little laser cut snowmen on top of them. They're all, I think there's two different of each one. They all have cute little designs on them. They look like they're dressed for winter. They're adorable. So I just take a little strip of fabric that I've torn off of just some red and cream striped fabric that I have that's perfect for Christmas. And I'm just going to tie that just in like a cute little knot on here. And I don't want it to be directly in the center. I just kind of just place it where it looks good to your eye. So if you like it in the center, I mean, go with that. This is your project when you make it, so you do differently what you want. And I mean, it's going to be beautiful. And if you do recreate anything, I always love to see them. So hop on over to Instagram and send me a picture, because I love to see the things that you guys create. So I'm just cutting this off on a little bit of an angle here, and then I will fray the ends, just pull some of those threads out so it has that nice little look there of being aged. I snipped off the end of some greenery, and I'm just taking the end of that with some hot glue, and I'm just sticking it kind of into that knot, so it's just kind of peeking out. Kind of like if this was, you know, wrapped up as a gift that was set outside for years and forgotten about. So it's got this cute little pine bough and then some little berries on there for some extra little texture. And then I had punched some holes in the top with my Crocodile. And so whether you glue these, I don't suggest really gluing them on the paint on plastic. So you really do just use a hole punch, or if you have your Crocodile, it does a little smaller punch. But I'm just tying off the twine in the holes, and I thought it would be really cute to put the knots at the front and then just cut the tails off really good. And then I glue that cute little gingerbread man on there. I'm just trying to decide where I actually want him, and I find the spot that he is the cutest to me. So you just decide, you could put a couple on there. But isn't that such a fun little ornament? I mean, whether it's for a kitchen or somebody who bakes or just a cute little ornament on your tree, I just thought this was so fun. At our house, I love to incorporate the true meaning of Christmas and the birth of Christ as much as I can. So I thought it would be really fun to bring that in with an ornament in today's video. So I have this tobacco basket. It came from Hobby Lobby. It was like $2.99 or $3.99 or something, and then it was 50% off. And they typically have these for all of the different seasons. Sometimes they're different colors. I really liked the brown color of this one. And then this nativity came from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to be using Mary, Joseph, and Jesus and the stable. It does come with the wise men, but I will save them in case I come up with another project for them. But I wanted to leave these their natural wood color, like this blonde wood color, but I wanted them to look like that was intentional, not just like it was just slapped together. So I thought the best way I could achieve that was kind of to soften the edges with sanding it. And this is just going to make that harsh, like laser cut edge look a little bit softer and more intentional. And so I'm just going to put a bead of glue along the base of the stable. Now I don't show on here because I originally glued this on and then realized I wanted baby Jesus to be kind of in the background to add a little bit more depth. So I first glued, you'll see here I have baby Jesus glued down there. I did the same thing with him. I just put that bead of glue on the manger and then placed that down. And then I'm just going to do the same thing on the stable here, and then I will place that, and then I will actually glue Mary and Joseph onto the stable and you'll see how I do that here in just a second. So I just hold that until it dries, and then it's going to give this nice 3D layered look. It kind of, the top of it kind of touches the tobacco basket, so it was kind of nice that kind of helps with a little bit of the stability. And then you can see how I'm just putting a little glue there for Mary. And then I will do the same thing for Joseph on the other side. I love coming up with different ways to incorporate the true meaning of Christmas in our house. And every way that I can bring that in, I just think it adds such a specialness and a great reminder. It's so fun to have all the other things that come with Christmas, and sometimes you can get a little caught up in that. So the simpleness of the true meaning is so fun to be able to bring that in, and it brings such a special feel into your home. So, and I thought that this was such a fun way to do this. So I just fed some of the twine through the little weave of the wicker in that tobacco basket, and then I'm just going to tie them off here. And then I don't want the knot to be seen. So what I will do is once I get this tied off, I just kind of slide it. And you can see I just kind of like to play with the edges there to make them look a little frayed. And then I will just slide that so you can't see the knot here. And it's just kind of hidden back there. And then we have this beautiful nativity. I think this is so elegant and so beautiful. I love the natural tones to it, and I think this would be such a great way to take an inexpensive nativity that you can find at Dollar Tree and have it be like a very big statement piece on your Christmas tree. What do you guys think of this one? At Dollar Tree, you can always find this sort of round shape that you can use. They're perfect for making ornaments out of, but whether it's plain wood or has a design on it, is thick or thin, I feel like you can always find something this shape there. Now, I sanded off my design because I didn't want to battle having to do coat after coat of paint to cover that. So I sanded it off and then just gave it a good coat of paint on each side. Now I have this stamp that's evergreen trees, and I picked this up at Hobby Lobby, and just in case you're wanting to pick up the same one, but I mean, they have stamps at Dollar Tree, they have stamps a lot of different places, but I thought it would be really fun to try this on an ornament. I had no idea how this was going to work out, but I thought I'd give it a try. And you can see obviously that the stamp is bigger than the ornament, so I'm just trying to see how I want to place it. So I'm just taking my ink, and at first I'm kind of pushing the ink onto the stamp, and then I decide, oh, I don't know if I like that, let me try it this way. I've seen this done several times. And I used to do stamping way back in the day when it was like super popular, and I feel like it's gaining a little bit more popularity again because they're fun to work with. But you can just see here how I just want to make sure that I'm getting a good coat of the ink all over and have it be even all over the area of the stamp that I'm using. And once I have that, I go ahead, and you're kind of like one and done. Once you place it, you're not moving it, you have to go with it. So I'm just making sure before I start to press it down, it's exactly where I want it. And then I gently kind of set it down, and then I'm going to go rub my fingers all over, make sure that every surface of that stamp gets a little bit of pressure to transfer that ink onto the design. So I'm just holding it steady with one hand as I push with the other, and I kind of transfer back and forth between each hand, just making sure that it's stable and doesn't move. And then I just lift it straight up, and oh my gosh, I think this is beautiful. I was so happy when I saw this, and I was like, wow, I mean, that looks like snow on those trees. Like, it's just so pretty with the black and the white, and there was just something so simple and so elegant about it. Now I decided to do the back side, so that way if the ornament was to spin on your tree, you'd be able to see it from each side. So I'm just going to repeat that exact same process, just getting that stamp completely covered. And I'll show you on this one, there's a little boo-boo that happens. I'll show you how I fix it. So I place it down, and just watching this back, because I was like, I just think I didn't get enough pressure in one of the areas enough. But the same thing is I just hold it down with one hand, and I'm just going to go over all of the areas and push it down. And again, you just want to make sure that you're hitting all of those areas. And maybe I didn't have enough ink in this particular spot or something. I'm not really sure, but you just want to make sure, as you can see here, just gently pressing, I'm rubbing, I'm making sure that I get all of that ink transferred. So you'll see here as I lift this up, You can see the little hole there that I created, so with no ink. And I was like, ooh, do I paint this over? Do I start over? So I just place it back down. I line it up as best as I can, and I'm just pressing in that area. Trying careful not to push in any of the other areas or anything like that. And it actually came out looking totally fine. I felt like it looked okay. I mean, it maybe isn't perfect if you look super close, but I mean, nature isn't perfect either. So I felt like it was good and I was going to go with it. Now, I just fed some of this twine through the hole in the top. I picked which side I wanted to be my front, and then I fed it through from the front going to the back, and then I just looped it around. And now I just tie this off just to make sure that you have something to hang it from your tree with. And then, as always, when I trim off my little tails that are left, I kind of play with them a little bit with my fingernail and my finger behind it, just to kind of give it a little bit of a frayed look. I feel like that just kind of makes it look not so like freshly cut. It looks like it's been around for a minute or two. But look at how beautiful this ornament turns out. I think this is so elegant. It's clean and it's simple. It would be, I mean, think how pretty several of these over a tree would look. But even just this one standing alone or tied to a gift, I think this is just a beautiful ornament. What do you guys think of this one? Are you someone like me who every time you see these ornaments in these little packages at Dollar Tree, you pick up a couple of packages and then you get home and you're not really sure what to do if you want to leave them like this or use them in crafting? I thought it would be fun because it is such a simple way to get ornaments, especially if you're on a tight budget to cover a tree. But I thought it would be fun to try something and kind of make them like plus them a little bit, make them really stand out. And so I'm going to take my crocodile and cut some holes in the opposite end of these. So they'll have a hole in the top where you hang them, and then I'm going to hang them in like strips. So I'm going to do 2 of 3 and then 1 of 2 because that's just how many snow flakes came, but you could buy a couple packages and do as many of these as you wanted. But I thought it would look so fun to kind of have these big like show-stopping snowflakes on there rather than just one here or there. So on the top one, it needs 2 holes, and if there's a middle one, it needs 2 holes, but the bottom one, you do not have to punch a second hole in because there's not going to be anything attached to that one. And I give these a really good coat of paint, white, front and back. Spray paint would be the much better way to go. It was like freezing cold and snowing at my house. It was not great weather for me to spray paint in, or I definitely would have done that. But once you get your paint on there, you're going to put some Mod Podge because I really, and you could leave them, but I really want these to shine and sparkle. So I'm going to put some glitter on them to really give them that extra special Christmas touch. So I have my Mod Podge in this little squirt bottle or squeeze bottle rather that I got at Dollar Tree, and it's a great idea to keep your Mod Podge in. And then I'm just going to brush that all over all of these. And you can just see I'm just making sure that that Mod Podge is all spread out. And then I have a couple different kinds of glitter that I'm using. The first, these both just came from Walmart. The first one has some bigger flakes in it, and then the second one is just a fine glitter, and it's just like whatever cheap brand they sell at Walmart. It's nothing special that I went to grab. But I'm just gonna dump this all over, and then I go in with the fine glitter on top and mix that in. Now this will actually be the back of the snowflakes. I'm going to turn it over and do it again. I'm just showing you the kind of glitter it is there. But I'm going to do this on the other side as well, and I do a little bit more, pay a little more attention to that side since it's going to be the front. This is just kind of the back, but I mean honestly, you could hang it either way and it's not going to make a huge difference. For the front of these, I am just taking the excess glitter, and I had put it into that little cup. I kind of picked up my paper and then just poured it all into that cup. So that's what I'm using for the rest of this. And I'm just going to pay attention to where I'm putting that Mod Podge, get into all the little nooks and crannies there. And then I will sprinkle that glitter. You can see just making sure that I get a nice good coverage there, and then I'll clear this glitter every time. So that way I'm just recycling the same glitter. I'm not having to use more. I mean, the little bit of glitter goes a long way. You guys know this. So this is all of my years of sanding Dollar Tree glitter away. This is me now placing glitter all over everything. But I feel like at Christmas time, you really can get away with that. And I know a lot of you have commented and been like, I totally agree. And a few of you have been like, absolutely not. I don't want glitter in my house. So, you know, to each their own, right? So now I'm just taking a little bit of twine and I'm going to tie them together. So I just feed it through the little hole. And so we have 2 that are tied together there. And then I will take the top one and tie it to that middle one. And so it's going to give you this like tiered look of these hanging. I think that they're just going to be so beautiful. Now, when I cut the little twine, you could use wire. I just figured most of you probably had twine and maybe not all of you had wire. So I just tied it off, cut the tails off, and then I put a little bit of glue to kind of secure that knot so it's not going to come untied. And so now I'm just going to tie that other layer on here. So I'll just take a little bit of the twine and feed it through. And it goes through pretty easily on these holes that are there, or that you punch with your crocodile. But if you need to get like a little bit of tape on the end of them to help them feed through that hole or something, if you don't have thin enough twine, then definitely, you know, you can do that. That kind of helps. But I feel like that went through fairly easily for me. And then again, I'm just going to repeat this process everywhere that there is a hole to link them together. So you can see here, I've got this fed through. I'm just going to tie the knot. That's funny. I'm going to tie the knot. I already did that. You guys, I've been married almost 20 years. Can you believe that? Next year, like in a couple months, will be my 20th wedding anniversary. So there's a little fact about me. I don't know. Tying the knot made me think about that. So I just thought I'd share with you. So I feel like that's kind of a great milestone to make it to, right? So anyhow, you can see here how they hang like this. I'm just seeing how exactly they do hang. And then I will just tie a little bit on the top. So you need something to hang this from. So I'm going to feed my loop through from the front to the back, and then you have your loop that you're just going to open up. And I apologize for my painted fingers here, but sometimes in crafting that's just how it goes. And I pull pull it tight, and then I'm just going to tie a knot in the top of this, so that way you can hang it. And then I just trim those off, and I just kind of fray them a little bit with my fingers there. And I just think I'm going to go ahead and repeat the whole process with all of the rest of these. But I mean, look how cute this is. You guys, can you imagine having these all over your tree? How beautiful that would be. I mean, it's just kind of a stunning piece that you take just something that could be, you know, a one here and there, and you combine them together like this. And I just think it's a showstopper. I love it. Let me know what you guys think of these. I had a great time making all of these ornaments. It was so fun to come up with these different ideas. I hope that you guys enjoyed each of them. In fact, if you had a favorite, you already know it. Let me know down in the comments. Also, remember to check out that playlist and see all of the other fun DIYs. And thank you again to Aria for guest hosting with me. When you check her out, let her know that Emily sent you. You are going to love her stuff. I just know it. Thank you so much for watching today. I'll see you next time. Happy crafting! If you liked the video that you just saw and you want to keep crafting together, here's another video that you might enjoy. And as always, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.